Good afternoon, I'm Giovanni Dennis with the Midday News. A special welcome if you're joining us online at onespotmedia.com. We begin with a developing story. There's no outrage in Kingston 11 after a controversial police shooting in Belrock this morning, which has left one man dead. Residents say the deceased 38-year-old Ryan Nicholson was preparing for work when he was shot and killed by police.
I'm supposed to go to work this morning. Can't now go on for mechanic thing. So I'm asking to get some work thing. I'm having 2 youth of mine. And I saw, I say, all right, Ray, I'm going to check my cousin. I'm going to check my cousin. And my cousin said, yeah, he can't come. So from a day, months I'm going to work with him. And forgot up to yesterday I'm going to work.
A heavy deployment of police remain in the area, and you will have more on this developing story in subsequent newscasts. 77 new cases of COVID-19 were confirmed on Sunday from 584 samples. The country's overall case count is now 47,396. The country's COVID-19 positivity rate now stands at 12.5%. 3 additional deaths have been recorded. 2 were in Clarendon, while the other was from Kingston and St. Andrew. The COVID-19 death toll is now 863. In the meantime, 149 persons are hospitalized with the respiratory illness. 23 are critically ill. There are now 22,898 active cases. A bill to increase the national pension contributions and payments was passed in the Senate on Friday. While there were no objections to the bill, concerns were raised about the proposed increase in contributions to the current economic climate. Herman Green reports.
The Compulsory National Insurance Scheme, NIS, provides economic benefits to contributing workers after retirement through pensions, funeral grants upon death, or assistance in sickness, among others. In presenting the need for the adjustment, Leader of Government Business, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, indicated that since 2007, the scheme has been paying out $2 billion more than it collects each year. As such, the bill proposes contribution increases for all categories.
The bill provides for an increase in the contribution rate of employed and self-employed persons and members of the JDF from 5% per annum to 5.5% per annum with effect from April 1, 2019 to March 31, 2020, as well as a further increase to 6% per annum with effect from April 1, 2020.
The insurable wage ceiling is to be increased from $1.5 million to $3 million for fiscal year 2021-22 and to $5 million effective April 1, 2022. As for NIS payments, the Act currently prescribes a 10% increase every 2 years. Mrs. Johnson-Smith says this would be catastrophic to the fund, and so the bill suggests that increases be made based on an actuarial review every 3 years. The last review was in 2016.
The 2019 actuarial review was actually not undertaken and is a subject of procurement, which has been protracted, but which is underway.
But opposition senators suggest that the bill be postponed considering the 2.5% wage offer to the public sector workers and the impact of COVID-19.
When you do the mathematical calculation, Senator Crawford, you realize that it is well over 9%.
So they're making a loss.
So they are coming out worse off.
So Damien is right, Senator Crawford is right, Senator Floyd Morris is right. The workers are in a net position. The workers are facing poverty because of this move.
The bill was passed without amendment and will see the new payment amounts being made later this year. Herman Green, TVJ News.
Meanwhile, there are concerns about the rising COVID-19 death toll in Hanover. Health officials say there were only 2 COVID-19 related deaths in Hanover in 2020. Now, since the start of the year, that number has increased to more than 40. Another concern is vaccine hesitancy.
Lights not working. The old one, the LED ones.
Councillor for the Lucy Division, Easton Edwards, blasted the Jamaica Public Service JPS for what he deemed as the slow pace of work in fixing non-functioning streetlights.
I do not think that JPS is treating us well. JPS is treating us as if bills are not paid, and we do not pay taxes here in this parish.
The municipal corporation learned that 60% of the streetlights in the parish are high-pressure sodium or HPS lights. The JPS has so far only been able to convert 40% of all streetlights in the parish to LEDs. However, several of those are in need of fixing.
At present, our system shows just about 50 that are not working, and they will be repaired in the coming week, Monday and Tuesday.
This response, however, did little to appease Lucy Mayor Sheridan Samuels. He lamented some of the challenges with the HPS lights.
It's like a blinky in the night. You just see the light up there and it's not showing anything on the ground. We are not seeing anything. It makes no sense. We have a light like that, say, turn on in the evenings, in the late evenings, and we are not getting the service of probably somebody can use it to walk. It doesn't make any sense. These lights are up there for so long now, they got red, they're not showing, you can't even see a toe.
In the meantime, the JPS says it is hoping to convert over 2,000 HPS streetlights to LEDs in August. Cody-Ann Barrett, TVJ News.
And we do apologize for the incorrect leading there. Now, that story was that the Jamaica Public Service is under pressure yet again to fix malfunctioning streetlights, this time in the parish of Hanover. And over in St. Thomas, there are concerns about the shortcomings of the fire department, causing one councillor to point fingers at the chairman of the municipal corporation, Michael Hugh, for not making adequate representation to central government. Sandy Williams has that story.
The parish of St. Thomas earmarked for major development, but at a recent municipal corporation meeting, it was revealed that the parish continues to be without functioning fire hydrants. This compounded by the absence of a proper fire station and a limited number of fire trucks. Councillor for the Cedar Valley Division, Marsha Francis, says for decades there have been calls to address the issues, but successive governments have ignored them. She further accused the chairman, Michael Hugh, of failing to make adequate representation to central government.
What are we doing? Mayor, what are you doing? Mayor, what are you doing about it? You are the chief, you're the chairman of this parish. I'm not hearing you speaking about it.
I'm listening to your plea.
Yes, and I'm saying to you now, we need to write to these people and we need to put our feet down. It can't be business as usual. It cannot. People are losing their homes right left and center over this foolishness. Is that we're in this council and we don't have any use? We're not saying anything.
Representation and me all along. But in the part of saying nobody answered to our call, yes. Because we did lobby, we moved. I and the fire chief went out, looked place for the fire station, and up till now it was dead right here. Right? It is just something that we don't saying that why yes, and I really tune Ms. Francis blaming the council. When it leave here, I'm going to town. That's where it is.
But even as she made her claims, Mr. Hugh remained silent. In the meantime, Deputy Superintendent for St. Thomas Fire Department, Horace Thomas, says the parish is scheduled to receive some new units soon.
That there are some trucks which should have arrived, but they are delayed. And so we do have trucks coming into the brand new unit. And I was told that, of course, we'll be getting some of those units. So I'm anticipating that shortly we won't have the story of the one truck situation or breaking down every minute, because we should be getting new units into the country.
Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
And it's now time for a break here on the Midday News, but please stay with us. We'll have much more when you return. Welcome back. We're continuing the news. The 13-year-old from St. Anne, who first alleged that she was buggered by 5 men on April 26, has reportedly changed her statement. On Friday in court, the teenager said that she had gone with one of the accused willingly and that she was not buggered. Prominent attorney at law Bert Samuels says the medical report in the case of the 13-year-old girl should give evidence.
Medical report for a child who is buggered by 5 men should be able to say something definitively happened. If the medical evidence is not supporting buggery, then we have a crisis. It may be that it never really happened. If it does support buggery, we get into another dilemma because we have a situation where a doctor is able to say this child was interfered with, but she's not making out the story, and the medical evidence can't stand on its own.
The matter was brought to light nearly a month ago and has captured national attention since. Mr. Samuels is calling on the authorities to be careful in treating with matters involving children.
Judges have to tell jurors that the evidence of young children must be guarded well before you believe it, because children are easily influenced. And this may be one of those cases where something happened, but it has been exaggerated and the story has become one that someone else may have manipulated this child to say things that really didn't happen.
Police in St. Anne were kept busy on Sunday, as scores of persons were arrested for breaches of the Disaster Risk Management Act. There was also a death due to defiance of the orders. O'Shane Masters has the details.
Some 35 persons were arrested and charged over the weekend in St. Anne for various breaches of the Disaster Risk Management Act, the DRMA. On Sunday, 9 persons were arrested and charged for breaching the curfew orders. It's understood that the operation by the police was carried out on the border of St. Anne and Trelawney. Head of operations for the parish, Deputy Superintendent Kevin Francis, told our news team that the operation took place between 4 to 6 p.m. Sunday afternoon. Also on Sunday, 43-year-old Margarita Carter of a Lincoln Road Brownstown address drowned at the Fisherman's Beach in Discovery Bay. DSP Bailey says despite warnings and several arrests during the curfew period, people still continue to breach the protocols.
Despite their COVID breaches, she, along with other persons, went to the beach and developed difficulties, subsequently drowned. Information reaching the police is that she was somewhat intoxicated at the time, wasn't able to help herself. There were attempts to resuscitate her, however, same proved futile.
The drowning comes on the heels of the arrest of 26 beachgoers on Saturday. 22 were arrested and charged at a beach in OUTRAGE and 4 in Runaway Bay, St. Anne. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
The school community at Yallas High in St. Thomas is in mourning following the death of a 4th form student. 17-year-old Alea Jamison was hit by a car last Friday. Alea, who was preparing to sit CSEC exams starting this month, was described by her teachers as an ambitious student. Her form teacher says her peers are not coping well with her passing.
The form class, they're not taking it well because Alea has that type of bubbly personality where she was jovial, where she would like technically be the life of the party, and so the students are not really taking it well at all. And so we have scheduled a brief counseling session with them.
The government says it is still committed to supporting youth programs funded through the ministry, this despite the fiscal constraints caused by COVID-19. State Minister for Youth Robert Morgan says the pandemic highlights the need for these groups. Javon Keys reports.
For the current fiscal year, the government has allocated $238 million to youth and child development programs. On Friday, 35 youth leaders representing 3 of the nationally funded groups were introduced. The Youth Advisory Council, the National Youth Council, and the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students, JUTS, represent the interest of various groups of youth across the island. State Minister for Youth Robert Morgan says despite the fiscal constraint due to COVID-19, it's necessary spending.
The fact that we are in a pandemic is even a more stronger reason why these programs need to continue. The reality is that many of our young people have become disenfranchised, particularly from the education system. So it is very important that we have the youth voice who are on the ground with their colleagues, who understand the challenges that their colleagues are facing and have access to the central ministry and to the top of the government administration where we can hear, because I am not at the University of the West Indies, I'm not at the high schools, I am not in the community clubs. So if you do not have organizations that are on the ground that represent young people, many of their voices will not be heard.
Orville Levy is the co-chair of the Youth Advisory Council, YAC. We put to him the concern of youth not making good use of opportunities to speak up on behalf of their peers.
I'm certain nobody on the Advisory Council, any of these groups, youth groups that is, are about this tokenistic approach. We want to have our voices heard. We represent youth coalitions, down to the grassroots level and their issues, and we want to ensure that we elevate that at the highest level.
Since its establishment in 2016, this year is the first time the YACJ has 2 co-chairs and an equal number of males and females.
I deeply believe in youth development and youth empowerment, and I'm so happy that I'm being put on this platform to help the change, help to influence change, help to influence policies.
Javon Keys, TVJ News.
And it's now time for the Business Minute. Here's Cody and Barrett.
In the world of business, Dominican Republic-based electric vehicle charging platform company Evergo is expanding its network of charging stations to Jamaica. The InterEnergy Group plans to install 60 stations across Jamaica.
It is a commitment to change and a foresight to see where we as a company, with our partner JPS to supply the energy, will transform this country into a cleaner environment, which will cause a reduction in the cost, the operational cost to those who own vehicles.
The Jamaica Public Service Company Limited, JPS, has requested an extension for the submission of its 2020 annual report, which was due on or before April 30, 2021. JPS advised that due to challenges, it will avail itself of the extension option to submit its annual report 45 days from the end of the April deadline. Investors will soon be able to purchase shares in the manufacturing arm of Jamaican Teas. CEO John Mahfood revealed that the company is looking to separate the manufacturing company from the group and to present it to the public via initial public offering IPO. The arm will be set up as a subsidiary of the group and listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
The Business Minute.
And here's Ken Morgan with a preview of what's coming up in this evening's edition of A Ray of Hope.
Coming up in this evening's edition of A Ray of Hope.
We don't want make them feel left out. Pain when me go through, I know people feel the same, similar, maybe more. Someone was there for me. I trying to use this and make the same opportunity for others out there,
That's A Ray of Hope this evening during Primetime News.
And to news and sports now, a sprint fest is expected between the likes of God of Love and Ojourn the Pilot, among others in the overnight allowance contest at Caymanas Park for 3-year-olds and up, going over the 5 straight course on Monday. Denise Walters reports.
Proven campaigner God of Love steps down in class as he seeks to return to winning ways. Returning from a 2-month layup, the 5-year-old Bay Gelding is hunting a season winner as his best result for 2021 was passing the post to second in the Eileen Cligot Memorial Trophy, outfinished by Tuna Ciliata. God of Love moves well at exercise and despite not getting the best draw, has champion apprentice O'Shea Nugent, who returns to the saddle aboard and is sure to fight this out. The likes of Eagle One up in class and looking for a second straight win, as well as Ojourn the Pilot, Laban and Rassi Manuel, who are all looking to go one better, will make the sprint trip an interesting battle. The 11-horse field will line up at 3:25 p.m. Meanwhile, 5-year-old Baymare Mamacita bid for a hat-trick in the feature of the Drumbeat Trophy, an optional $250,000 to $200,000 claiming contest going over the 5 straight course. The course specialist in present form has little to fear from these and will not easily be denied. 13 horses are set to face the starter at 2:50 p.m. 12:30 p.m. is first post for the 9-race program. Denise Walters for TVJ Sports.
And that's the midday news. I'm Giovanni Dennis. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, have a good afternoon.